Welcome to the Thriving Artist Podcast, where we share strategies and support for artists to thrive.
We know that the art world can feel like a lonely place, and we want to provide a network of support, impactful strategies, and an abundance of encouragement to help you grow your authentic art career.
We're your hosts. I'm Jamie Smith.
And I'm Kaylin Butine, and we are also the co-founders of the Thrive Together Network, a community of female and non-binary identifying artists and artists who are caregivers.
We truly believe in community over competition, and we're so glad you're here. Enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Thriving Artist Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jamie Smith.
And I'm Kaylin, your second host. We're so glad you joined us today. We have a really important topic to tackle.
Yes, today we are diving in how to recover from feeling worn down as an artist. And I think as creatives, not just artists, but there's so many creatives out there, this can happen when you've been doing it a long time, putting ourselves out there, and it's a lot.
Yeah, I think it's common for us to have moments of self-doubt, and we definitely want to normalize that. It's also common for us to feel burnout and just exhaustion. And, we don't want this podcast to just be, positive and like, here's the 10 things to do to be successful and I'll go do it. It's like, no. The reality is that many of us feel worn down, we get burnout, and so we want to help you address those things too, because they're very much a part of being an artist.
Yes. And first, we wanted to say that acceptance is key. So acknowledging those times that it's okay to feel worn down, creativity can be really emotionally draining. And so it's totally natural to have these low moments. And sometimes this feels like a bit of a drought with production or creating things. We talk so much on this podcast and in TTN about seasons of things. And I've had seasons where I just am not inspired, and it is okay. And that acceptance is so key. So it's a word that I personally have had to grapple with a lot over the last couple of years, is the word acceptance. But in this case, it goes a long way to just acknowledge the feelings of burnout and worn out are all there.
Well, I think until you actually accept where you are, you can't make authentic progress with moving forward. Or, change things that are going to make your situation more sustainable, because you're not like even acknowledging that you're feeling a certain way,
Yeah.
So we just really have to pause. We incorporate a lot of reflection and, just checking in with yourself when you join us as a community member on Thrive Together Network. So we really believe in that power of accepting where you're at, and also making sure you know where you're at, and like figuring out how to reflect and come up with those answers of like how you're feeling in the moment. So the second thing we want you to think about as you're recovering from feeling worn down as an artist is to take care of your physical health. We just really believe that taking care of your body can really do wonders for your mindset and your overall well-being. Most of you probably make art with your body, right? And so your body is this like treasured, precious thing that like you need to take care of and make sure you're focusing on, so that you can make the powerful work that you make and put it in the world. And this is a hard thing, of course, like everybody tells us to like take care of our bodies. And here we are like on an art podcast telling you to do it. But it's just like the reality of being somebody who has a lot to do, fitting this in and like figuring out how to go for a walk or get good sleep or go to the gym, like whatever feeling healthy and good and taking care of your physical health looks like for you. We acknowledge and we accept that it is hard to fit that in, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it, right? We just really believe in, this value of taking care of yourself, physically and mentally. And, maybe don't overburden yourself, don't overschedule things, so that you can't find time to take care of your body, or actually, even better, plan to take care of your body. Put it in
Ooh.
your week.
And I think with this point, like Kaylin and I talk a lot about how hard it is as, when you're caregiving or, just have a very busy schedule to fit in going to the gym or a class. And I think sometimes it's easy to think, well, I have to do it all or I do nothing. But this could be as easy as every time you walk into the studio, you reach for the sky and try to touch your toes. It could literally be you're going to take the stairs instead of the elevator. These are little things that I know everyone kind of says those things, but I think as artists, I find it motivating to think, I'm going to take the stairs because it's going to help my art practice. And I do a lot for my art practice. I've huffed art supplies. I've bought, I've spent my last dollars on art supplies. Like I've done so much for my art practice, but I think I realized really recently is like, I've kind of forgotten that my body is part of my art practice. So, including it in your art practice, I think could be very motivating, in a space that can be hard to be motivated to like go to that class.
Well, it's like, it's your best asset, right? So,
on that, note, our sort of third part of this is feeling that worn out and feeling that, overwhelmed or not inspired is trying to find inspiration, but finding it wherever you're at. It's part of that acceptance. So everyday life, if you are able to just, go see some art in person, go walk in nature, this type of things can really ignite that creative spark. I know at Art and Tea, our sessions that we have, we do a prompt on the network after our sessions, and often people will say, I was a little off coming today, but then I talked to this artist and she mentioned this, which made me think about this. And then, and it starts to kick that off going. So finding an artist that you can talk to, even about the burnout, I think can really spark things. I highly recommend in this is getting off Instagram, stop scrolling. I think that for me, that does nothing to kind of spark, or help my mental health. But go back to basics. Why did you start making art before you decided that you wanted to, do it professionally or make money from it? We don't want to get caught up in what it is now. I think that can kind of sort of dampen our creative spirit, but actually go inwards into that original artist, as we were kids, why we did make a card for someone. That's how I started making cards as a kid. So I like that.
Yeah, I think another way to think about it is just this idea of like connecting with the things that feed your art practice, that kind of inspire what inspire you to make art, right? Like what gets your juices flowing, like what are those things that you reflect on when you make your work. Like it's so easy to get caught up in the output, right? Like the actual making it and then getting it out in the world, but like what came before that? What was the spark that like caused you to start making this series of work, and just like making sure that you dip back into that from time to time. I think it can really help you when you're feeling worn out.
That's what I was trying to say. That's what I like that word, the output.
Yeah.
Before it became the output. Yeah, because I think in the burnout, it's like we want to go back to the input. Like, what were those things that that spark? So,
yes,
you're good, Kaylin. You're good.
So the fourth thing we want you to think about when you're feeling worn down, just as a suggestion for how to recover, is community. And Jamie, you did touch on this a little bit, but I think just reaffirming that community with other artists can really help you feel validated. It can help you get that energy back up. It can help you just feel uplifted. When we get to have like safe conversations with artists who go through what we go through, we get to share those experiences. I think it just really puts some of that fuel back in the tank, because you realize that you're like not alone, and you're not just like out there spinning your wheels, but you're like going through something that somebody else has gone through before, or that they're maybe going through right now. So, being part of our virtual community of artists is like a great way to do this, but also we would always encourage you to join a local art group, to get coffee with a friend consistently, to do studio visits, right? And do it from like a mindset of not just, this is a professional practice thing I'm checking off, but like, no, just like show up and get a coffee. Like, you don't always have to have, like an agenda,
Well,
just be in community.
and to that point, it's just that burnout or that, you know, down feeling that we get as creatives. I feel like there's such an up from being able to give back a little bit. So, meeting another artist who maybe needs to figure out like how to make prints of their work, and you've already done that and you can share that, like that is part of the spark that gets us kind of remembering that we are worthy. We have done a lot. We're reaching our goals. It's just right now maybe we're in a bit of a low,
Yes.
So
But
community.
we're all in it together.
Oh, we are. And just to wrap us up, kind of our final note is kind of connecting back to that why. We talked about that as, now instead of that output, go back to the input, but it's why you started. And it's reigniting that belief in yourself and the work, and, the effect your work has had on others, taking time to journal and think about it. We always encourage artists to, write these things down. We have our Thriving Artist map that we've used this entire year. And a huge part of that is because when you are in that creative slump, going back and seeing your own written word of why my art is important, why I believe in what I'm doing, what my goals are, that can hold such a weight in your sort of recovery from feeling of keeping going. Because this is the long game. We talk about it a lot. This is the long game, and you have your whole life to make art, and there's going to be these seasons of ups and downs, but having these sort of things in your back pocket where you're like, I'm feeling worn out, I'm going to go for a coffee with an artist. Okay, I'm going to journal a little bit. I'm going to go back and look at my why. I'm going to make a card. All these things are going to help you get out of this faster.
Yeah, this is a good episode to just take some notes and stick it on your studio wall. And when you walk in and you're feeling discouraged, just go through the list and try to incorporate some of these things. And we really feel like it'll help turn your mindset around. But really, just remembering that our love for art can be what helps us get through. I just think that's like a beautiful way to end. So thanks for that note as we wrap up, Jamie.
Yes. And we, of course, welcome you to join all of our artists and community that help us get through all of these times ourselves, and that's at the thrivetogethernetwork.com. You also get more episodes, and we do have a YouTube channel, see our faces talking to you, and we have a newsletter that goes out that gives you lots of tips and also shares more about the programming we do. So that's all on our website. And as always, Kaylin and I are here for you. We are cheering you on, and we truly believe in the work that you're doing as thriving artists.